Welcome, everyone, to Intensity Broadcasting for coverage of the SCSRA Xfinity Series. Tonight, these Xfinity cars will be taking on the Rockingham Speedway for 120 laps of racing action. I'm going to be your announcer for tonight, Atlee Atnan-Weiss, and I'm excited to call all the racing action here tonight. This is the second to last race of the SCSRA Xfinity Series season. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up what our point standings is looking like right now. There you see right now, Cody Moore is your leader in points coming into the second to last race of the season. Right now, Cody has gotten 5 wins, 2 poles, 9 top 5s, 11 top 10s here this season. And he has 22 points ahead of second place driver in points right now, Cameron Austin. Third in points is Devin Buccino. Fourth is Logan Hagerman. Fifth is Brian Nudie. Sixth is Kyle Mays. Seventh is Michael Provolt. Eighth is Colin Willems. Ninth is Isaiah Gill. Rounding out your top 10 in points, it's Bobby Mays. 11th in points is Nick Mather. And then 12th is Dylan Redding. So coming into the second to last race of the season, it's looking pretty good for Cody Moore to secure the championship here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series, but anything can still happen. We take a look back here at what's going on in practice. Right now, we see Cody Moore is on the top of the board with a 24.69, which is 7/100ths faster than second place Logan Hagerman. Third is Isaiah Gill right now. Fourth on the board is Devin Buccino. Rounding out your top 5 is Michael White. So right now, in practice, Cody Moore looking like the favorite to win tonight's event, trying to get his 6th win of the season. Speaking of wins, last week we saw Logan Hagerman get the victory at Chicagoland. Although he didn't dominate the race, he still led the lap that counted, which was the final lap. He did lead a little bit more than just one lap. He led 25 of the 115 laps, which was the third most out of any driver. He ended up finishing first. Second was Cameron Austin. Third was Will Witt. Fourth was Devin Buccino, who led 44 of the 115 laps, which was the most out of any driver. And then rounding out your top 5 was Nick Mather. We saw Brian Nudie led 38 laps, but he ended up having a tough break and finished in the 10th place spot. We also saw Blake Hensley, Nick Ford, and Will Witt. All of them led laps as well. We're seeing some tight racing going on. From what I heard from some of the Intensity Racing Team drivers, this is a tricky track and might be one of the hardest tracks on the schedule here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series. We see a lot of drivers have been getting loose, and supposedly a lot of the wrecks tonight may come from the exit of turn number 2, as it is a very hard spot to pass. Expect to maybe see 1 or 2 cautions here tonight. If not, then I am going to be very impressed at these SCSRA Xfinity Series drivers. It is now time for qualifying here at the Rock. Drivers will get 2 laps to try to set their best possible lap time. Here we see the number 11 of Dylan Redding heading out onto the track. See Devin Buccino on Facebook says, "Place is a handful, should be a fun one tonight. Turn 2 is treacherous." That is what I heard, Devin. I think we're going to see maybe a couple cautions coming from turn number 2 here tonight. It does seem like quite the handful. We'll see how these drivers do here tonight. See, here's Dylan Redding heading through 3 and 4, getting ready to complete his first lap. And there we go, Dylan Redding to the top of the board with a 25.15. But he is the only driver on the board. See, Brett Merle ends up running a... and hard into the inside wall for Dylan Redding. That's going to destroy his front end and ruin his second lap. See, Michael Provolt to the top of the board with a 24.98. He is about a tenth ahead of second place Dylan Redding. We see Brett Merle on his second lap runs a 25.02, which is going to put him. And Cody Moore, your leader in practice, goes to the top of the board with a 24.87. That is going to put him 1/10 ahead of second place Michael Provolt. Cody Moore ran a 24.69 in practice, so he's still about 2/10 off of that. Then we see Josh Hall on track. We see Josh ends up running a 25.42. That's going to put him about 5/10 off of Cody Moore. Josh struggling here in qualifying. I know Josh said that this is one of his least favorite tracks on iRacing. Hopefully he can turn his luck around in tonight's event. Here is Devin Buccino in the 68 getting ready to complete his first lap. Here he is getting right across the line. Devin Buccino to the top of the board with a 24.82. That's going to put him 0.04 of a second ahead of Cody Moore. And unless somebody else does a great lap time, it's looking like Devin Buccino is going to start on the pole. And this will be Devin's third pole of the season if he starts on the pole here tonight. He started on the pole last week at Chicagoland. Couldn't get the job done, though. Here's Logan Hagerman heading out onto the track in his new paint scheme. All right, here is Logan starting his first lap. We see Isaiah Gill able to get to fourth with a 24.99. It's going to put him a 10th off of first place Devin Buccino. Here's Logan Hagerman coming off of turn number 4. Let's see what lap time he turns. He was second on the board in practice. He's able to get to fourth with a 24.88. Isaiah Gill to second on his second lap with a 24.87. That's still, he's about 0.05 off of first place Devin Buccino. Let's see if Hagerman improves on his second lap. Oh! On his second lap, Logan Hagerman tags the outside wall, which is going to kill his second lap. We got the bot father, Colin Willems, on track right now, getting ready to complete his first lap. And Colin Willems able to get to second with a 24.82. And he is less than 1/100th of a second off of Devin Buccino. It came down to the thousandths of a second to determine who started first, who was going to start second. And a lot of times the second lap is faster than the first. And this time it is, and it's going to put Colin Willems on the top of the board. Colin Willems ends up turning a 24.79, which will put him 0.02 faster than second place Devin Buccino. This will be Colin, if he starts on the pole here tonight, this will be Colin's second pole. There's Brian Nudie on track in that 40 machine, getting ready to complete his second lap time here. Actually, actually, no. Brian Newty has completed all of his required qualifying laps, but he is continuing to stay out on track, taking advantage of a little bit of extra practice time. I know Brian got into the race a little bit late, so he didn't get as much practice time as some of our other drivers, so I like to see that he's utilizing qualifying to get some extra practice time in. Like I said before, this place is a handful, and so we'll see how these drivers handle the rock. See, Michael Lawrence ends up turning a 25.35. Which means he's about 5/10 off of your leader, Colin Willems. I believe everybody... Oh, Nick Mather still needs to turn a qualifying lap. He is the last driver that needs to do so. Here's Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence on track. I believe he has completed both of his required lap times. He's doing the same thing as Newty, and he is continuing to stay out, get a little bit of extra practice time in. Here is Nick Mather in that 16, getting ready to complete his first lap time. As he crosses the line, he ends up turning a 25.32, which will put him 5/10 off of first place Colin Willems. Now for the second lap, let's see what Nick Mather turns. And he is a little bit faster with a 25.03. That is going to put him now 2/10 off of first place Colin Willems. So everybody has turned a qualifying lap. We see Brian Newty and Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence staying on track after they have completed their 2 required qualifying laps, getting some extra practice time in. And this is the second to last race, and the SCSRA Xfinity Series will be having a new season coming up. So if you're a good, clean driver and are interested in joining the SCSRA Xfinity Series, make sure to go check out their Facebook page, SCSRA, just SCSRA. And I believe you can get more information on there on how you can join this league. Always looking for new members. So like I said, if you're a good, clean driver, make sure to go visit their Facebook page, SCSRA, and you can get more information about how to join this awesome league. And if you want, I can also send the link to the Discord in the chat if anybody wants me to do that. And there we go. Qualifying is wrapping up. We are getting set for our feature event. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting on the pole with a 24.787. Representing YXU Racing in the 17, it's Colin Willems. Outside of him, it's Neon Racing's Devin Buccino. Third is Isaiah Gill in the 2. Fourth is Cody Moore. And then rounding out your top 5, we have the 7 Intensity Racing team driver of Logan Hagerman. 6th is YXU Racing's Brian Newty. 7th is 2 pedals, 1 clutches, Michael Provolt. 8th is the 8 car of Eddie Morris. 9th is the 77 of Cameron Austin. And then rounding out your top 10, we have the 9 of Brett Merle. 11th from Canada, it's the 16 of Nick Mather. 12th is Intensity Broadcasting's Joe Wright. 13th is Dave Wright in the 84. Starting in 14th, representing Operators Racing in the 09, it's Michael White. And then rounding out your top 15, it's Neon Racing's Dylan Redding in the 11. 16th is Waxy Racing's Will Witt in the 35. 17th will be Brian Merle Jr. in the 74. 18th is Michael Lawrence. 19th is Intensity Racing Team's Josh Hall in that 81. Last but not least, it's Neon Racing's number 37 of Derek Chaput. And it looks like my SDK has just froze up. So we are going to get that dilemma fixed, and we will be right back. I am sorry about that. We were having some technical difficulties, but we are back to the racing action. We have currently completed 11 laps in this thing, and right now your leader is Devin Buccino in that number 68 machine. And looks like our pole sitter, Cody Moore, had some issues. He has fallen to 16th since the green flag dropped. I am not sure what happened to Cody. Here's a look at your current top 5. We see Devin Buccino is running in first. Colin Willems is in second. Third is Brian Nudie. Fourth is Logan Hagerman. And then rounding at your top 5, we have Isaiah Gill. So far, biggest mover of the race is Brian Nudie. He was up to third. He has gained 16 positions since the green flag dropped. He started in 19th. And then we also... And our biggest follower is Cody Moore, who started on the pole but is now in 15th. Alright, so let's take a look here at the racing action right now. We are watching the battle for second between Colin Willems and Brian Nudie, two YXU Racing teammates. We see Brian Nudie trying to use that bottom to get under the 17 machine, but we see Colin Willems doing a good job running that defensive line, trying to hold off that 40. I do want to quickly take a look here at our Facebook chat. Cassie Willems says, let's go Mather and Colin. Right now, Colin Willems is sitting in that second place spot, battling here with Brian Nudie. Nick Mather is in 13th, trying to work his way back up to the field after losing 7 spots since the green flag dropped. Still, Brian Nudie trying to set up a pass here on second place driver Colin Willems. Nudie looking high, looking low, trying to set up that pass. Here's a look at the cockpit cam of this 40 machine. Here we go. And from what it looks like, it looks very, very hard to pass here at Rockingham. And I think we're going to see the difficulty of the pass really come into play here tonight, preventing a lot of drivers from making any big moves because of how difficult it is to pass. We might see a lot of drivers try a bump and run. And another thing that Nudie's kind of waiting for while he's sitting behind Colin Willems for this second place spot is he's waiting for Willems to make a mistake, whether that be getting loose or tagging the wall. It's easy to make a mistake here at Rockingham, and Brian Nudie is waiting for that mistake. The two still battle for this second place spot. We see Brian Nudie taking another shot down low under the 17 machine. He can't quite get to his rear quarter panel. And there we go. He's taking a look down under Willems as we head into turn. Oh no! Contact between Brian Nudie and Colin Willems. Colin Willems is into the outside wall, and he's trying to save it. He's trying the best he can to save it, and he does end up saving it. What a save for Colin Willems, but that is unfortunate for him. Willems was running in that second place spot, and let's take a look at exactly what happened to the 17 car again. So here we see Nudie sitting behind Willems. He gets a good run on the front stretch, takes a shot down low. He's taking a look down low as we cross the line. And then we see he's around the rear quarter panel as we head into turns 1 and 2. And we see Nudie just comes up the track into Willems. This is going to push Colin into the outside wall. And then from there, he just has to try to save it. And he does end up saving it. So still, Devin Buccino is your leader. He's got a 1-second lead over second place driver Brian Nudie. We do have a battle for fourth going on, though, between Isaiah Gill and Cameron Austin. We see Austin all over the back bumper at that of the two. He's hoping to try to make a successful pass. It is very, very hard to pass here at Rockingham, as we saw between Colin Willems and Nudie. Unless you want to try to use the bumper or door the person, it's really hard to make a pass. So we see Cameron Austin trying to get down onto that low groove and get under the 2 car. There we go. We see Austin taking a shot down low under Gill as we head into turns 3 and 4. We see Austin able to get to the rear quarter panel as we come off of turn number 4. Isaac Gill able to get back clear. And with how the whole field has been shaken up, here's a look at your current top 5. We see Devin Buccino is in first. Brian Nudie is sitting in second after getting by Colin Willems. Third is Logan Hagerman. Fourth is Isaac Gill. And then rounding at your top 5, it is Cameron Austin. So we see Gill trying to extend that gap a little bit over the 77 of Cameron Austin. We see Austin getting another big run as we come off of turn number 2. And then right behind Cameron, it is the 8 SCSRA machine of Eddie Morris. And there we see Eddie Morris taking it to the high side. He is unsuccessful up there, but I think I like that decision to go up there trying something new. It might work out for that 8 machine. I like it. Trying to find a new groove on the track. I mean, that's what these drivers do all race, searching for the best groove to run in, whether it be the bottom or up on the high side. And as the tires wear, you're going to kind of switch between, you know, running on the high side, running on the bottom. Still, we see Cameron Austin trying to reel in Isaac Gill for that 4th place spot. And then right behind them is Eddie Morris. Right now, Cameron Austin is under a lot of pressure because he's trying to make a pass and he's trying to prevent someone from making the pass. And Austin is really going to need to pick one thing to put all of his energy to. Is he going to put all of his energy into trying to make a pass on Gill, or is he going to try to put all of his energy into holding off Eddie Morris? You can't do one or the other, or that's just going to end up hurting you even more. I mean, Cameron Austin is right there. I think he should focus on just trying to get by Gill as quickly as possible. That may seem easy, but it really isn't, just because of how hard it is to pass here at Rockingham. Again, we keep seeing Eddie Morris take a look to the high side. Austin able to get to around the rear quarter panel of 2. He got right there, but Isaac Gill able to shut the door, and Eddie Morris just continues to run that outside. It seems to be working for him. He gets to around the rear quarter panel of that 77. He gets closer and closer each lap to being able to get a good run on that outside. And we see Cameron Austin, looks like he's trying to block Eddie Morris a little bit, which is going to allow, and oh, looks like we have some green flag pit stops going on. We see Colin Willems is into the pits. Does not look like the 17 has any damage. I think this might signal the start of green flag pit stops. Let's see what he does on pit road. He's going to take a fast repair and get some fresh tires. So, looks like Colin Willems might be trying to short pit it a little bit here. Let's see how that strategy works out for that 17 machine. We continue to watch this battle for 4th between Isaac Gill and Cameron Austin. Austin just looking high, looking low, trying to find any sort of way to get under that 2 machine. And also, he is waiting for Gill to make a mistake, and it is very, very easy to make a mistake here at Rockingham. Gill just needs to be really, really careful on that wheel, needs to hit his marks well, because one small mistake from that 2 could cost him a position, or maybe even 2, because Eddie Morris is right there. And oh, we see Eddie Morris getting into the outside wall a little bit. That is the one problem with running that high line, is there is a bigger chance of tagging that outside wall if you get a little bit too hot into the corner. Eddie Morris has been trying to make a pass on Cameron Austin for quite some time now. We'll continue to watch this battle between the 77 and the 8 car. I know Eddie Morris trying to get himself back together after tagging the outside wall. I don't know, with the fact that he tagged the outside wall, will we see Morris venture up there anymore? Right now, field getting pretty spread out. We see Devin Buccino has a 7/10 lead right now on second place, Brian Nudie. I'm wondering how long, I don't know how long the pit window is, or how long you can stay out here at Rockingham. Right now, we've seen over a second of tire fall off for that 68 machine of Devin Buccino. I think we're getting pretty soon to where the pit window is. We'll see, though. Time will tell. We do see another driver making their way onto pit road, and that is Dave Wright in the 84. Another driver maybe looking to try to short pit it. We do have a tight battle going on for this 14th place spot between Derek Chaput and Brett Merle. And both of them are going under a lap car right now, Josh Hall. They're still side by side as we come off of turn number 2. Oh, Brett Merle tags the outside wall a little bit. That should slow him down, and that is going to give Derek Chaput that 14th place spot right now. Now it's a battle between... Oh, and we see another driver making their way onto pit road. That is Derek Chaput in that number 37 machine. Looks like he's also trying to short pit it a little bit. Question is, how long is Devin Buccino willing to stay out? Oh, we see Cody Moore making his way onto pit road now. Question is, will we see some more of the YXU Racing drivers come down pit road? We've already seen Willems and Moore come in. Will we see Nudie, Gill, and Mather come in? Yep, there we go. We see Brian Nudie making his way onto pit road. Looks like YXU Racing is trying to coordinate something. Isaiah Gill continues to stay out. So now we are watching Devin Buccino. When is he going to make his way onto pit road? Pit strategy getting ready to come into play here. Pit strategy is what cost Devin the race last week at Chicagoland. Let's see if he has a good pit strategy here tonight. See another YXU Racing driver, Isaiah Gill, coming into the pits. Will we see Nick Mather come in behind him? Yes, we do. All of the YXU Racing drivers have came in now, and they will have the freshest tires out of the entire field at the moment. But after everybody else comes in, YXU Racing drivers will have the oldest tires, but they will have been out longer and will have better track position. I do think Devin might be trying to coordinate something with his Neon Racing teammates, Dylan Redding, Brian Merle Jr., and Derek Chaput, he's already come in, but Brian, Dylan, and Devin all are on the lead lap, so I think they might be coordinating something to do a team pit. I know there isn't a team standings or anything here in the SCSRA, but having teammates is very important because it allows you to share information and get information. There might be something you're doing wrong, so you ask your teammate what to do, or you might get some setup help from a teammate, or you can coordinate, pit stops, green flag pit stops with a teammate. So although there isn't like a team standings or anything, teammates here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series, very important, just like having a teammate is in other sports besides racing. We see Michael White coming in. He's got a lot of rear end damage on the 09. And we see Cameron Austin making his way onto pit road now. You might see some more of the 2 pedals, 1 clutch drivers come in. We see Joe Wright making his way onto pit road. Here's Will Witt coming in. Michael Provolt coming in. We see a huge flock of cars making their way onto pit road. But we see all 3 Neon Racing drivers continue to stay out. Devin Buccino, Dylan Redding, and Brian Merle Jr. They're trying to coordinate something here. We also see 2 Intensity Racing Team drivers, Logan Hagerman and Eddie Morris, staying out. They might be talking stuff over and coordinating something as well. You don't want to stay out too long, though, as there is a chance that you might stay out too long where the tires, they've taken as much as they could and they just blow. So now we play the waiting game. When are these 5 going to come in? If all of them come in, they won't be able to stay on the lead lap, or they won't be able to stay in the lead. So I think Colin Willems might have just won the pit strategy here by short pitting it. We will see. Here comes Colin Willems getting ready to get his lap back. Yes, he does. Colin Willems gets his lap back, and I think Willems has just won the pit strategy here. We continue to see when are these Neon Racing and Intensity Racing Team drivers going to come in. Colin Willems has already gotten by Brian Merle Jr. And he is into the top 5 now. Oh, we see some cars sliding. That was Dave Wright in the 84. What a save. That could have been disastrous as he was right by our leader, Devin Buccino. We see Eddie Morris coming in. Well, we see the other Intensity Racing Team driver, Logan Hagerman, coming as well. And there we go, Devin Buccino coming in. I believe we'll see his teammates Dylan Redding and Brian Merle Jr. come in behind him. And so this will give the lead now to Logan Hagerman in that 7 machine. No, we see Dylan Redding continues to stay out. So this leaves, we see Merle Jr. comes in. So there's only 2 drivers that still need to come in. That's Logan Hagerman and Dylan Redding. How long are these 2 willing to stay out? Hagerman really has to come in the next 3 laps, or he's going to blow a tire or something. Here we see Logan Hagerman just got passed by Josh Hall, who got one of his laps back in. Oh, look at this. Dylan Redding now making his way onto pit road. which will leave just one driver that needs to come in. How long is Hagerman willing to stay out? Those tires have got to be feeling pretty bad. Here comes Cody Moore getting ready to get one of his laps back. He does. Or no, Cody Moore is now on the lead lap. We see Cameron Austin back on the lead lap. And now we see Logan Hagerman making his way onto pit road. And so this should give the lead back to Colin Willems now. Yep, there we go. Colin Willems has won the pit strategy. He has inherited the lead from Logan Hagerman and has ended our pit cycle. And now we watch for this battle for the lead between Colin Willems and Brian Newty. These two have battled with each other before, and it ended up with Colin Willems into the outside wall. Hopefully this battle goes a little bit differently, where Newty is able to get by Willems a little bit more cleanly. And we are now at the halfway point, and you know what that means. It is time to pump up the intensity here on Intensity Broadcasting. You will get to see the sights and hear the sounds of the racetrack. Here we go. There you go. That is going to do it for Pump Up the Intensity. Hopefully you enjoyed us turning up the volume, but we are back to the racing action. And while we are under Pump Up the Intensity, looks like Brian Newty was able to get by Colin Willems for the lead. And here's a look at your current top five. We see Brian Newty is in first. Colin Willems is in second. Third place is Isaiah Gill. Fourth place right now is Cameron Austin. And then rounding at your top five, it is Cody Moore. See Falcon Graphics on YouTube says Will wants his lap back. Looks like Will did end up getting his lap back. He is currently battling with Nick Mather for this 9th place spot. We'll see if Will can hold off that 16 machine. We do have a battle right now for this 4th place spot between Cameron Austin and Devin Buccino. There we see Buccino taking a look down low under Austin as we head into turns 1 and 2. And looks like Buccino is able to get clear and is up to that 4th place spot now. And there we go. We see he's starting to extend that gap a little bit over the 77. Right now, field pretty spread out. Brian Nudi currently has a 2-second lead over 2nd place Isaiah Gill. Yes, looks like Isaiah Gill was able to get by Colin Willems for that 3rd place spot. We see the Reaper 504 on Twitch says, "Go get him, Nudie." Right now, Brian Nudi sitting in that 1st place spot. He has a 2-second lead over 2nd place Isaiah Gill, looking to try to get his 3rd win of the season here tonight at Rockingham. Nudi, who is 41 points behind your current leader, Cody Moore, doesn't look like he has too much of a chance to win the championship. But Nudi does have a chance to get a top 5 and maybe even a top 3 here in points. Speaking of points, here's a look out at our current point standings. This is the 2nd to last race counting tonight. So next week is the season finale. Right now, Cody Moore is your leader in points. 22 points behind him, it is Cameron Austin. 3rd in points is Devin Buccino. 4th is Logan Hagerman. 5th is Brian Nudi. 6th is Kyle Mays. 7th is Michael Provolt. 8th is Colin Willems. 9th is Isaiah Gill. 10th is Bobby Mays. 11th in points is Nick Mather. And 12th is Dylan Redding. So for Cameron Austin to get the championship, he is going to need to, Austin is going to need to have a very, very good race. And Cody Moore is going to have a really, really bad race, like bottom 5. And that's not looking like it's going to be the case. Anything can change, but right now, coming in tonight, it was looking like Cody Moore, if he made both races, it was looking like he had the championship locked up. There we see Colin Willems starting the pit cycle again. He short pitted it last time we had green flag pit stops. And we see Nudi, we're still 10 laps away from his scheduled pit stop. We do have a battle for this 9th place spot between Nick Mather and Eddie Morris. Morris right now setting up the pass there. We see he takes a look down low under the 16 as we head into 3 and 4. There we see Eddie taking it to the high side now. We did see Eddie try to run up there before he ended up tacking the outside wall. I don't know if he's going to want to run up there. Ooh, barely misses the outside wall. He actually might have brushed it a little bit. And we also see here's Nick Mather take a look down low under Michael White on the backstretch. We see there was almost a little bit of contact there between the two. Mather right there to the rear quarter panel. He's got to do something here. And here we see Eddie Morris right on the back bumper of this 16. Once again, Nick Mather getting a good run on Michael White as we head off of turn number 2. Here's Mather to the low side. He's to the rear quarter panel. Now he's side by side with the 09 of Michael White as we cross the start-finish line. And he is able to get He is able to get clear Nick Mather now to the 8th place spot. We're side by side for 9th between Eddie Morris and Michael White. And we see Eddie Morris is able to get clear. Eddie Morris now to that 9th place spot. Michael White still right there sticking with that 8 machine of Eddie Morris. So we have just gone past 75 laps completed. And here's a look at your current top 5. We see Brian Newty in first. Second is Isaiah Gill. Third is Devin Buccino. Fourth place is Cameron Austin. And rounding out your top 5, we have Cody Moore. The battle. Oh, and look at this. Here's Devin Buccino making his way onto pit road. Looks like he is trying to short pit it this time, doing a little bit of the opposite of what he did last time for his pit strategy. We see Cody Moore also coming in. We might see some Neon Racing drivers and Wax U Racing drivers following behind these two. And there we go. We see your leader, Brian Newty, Isaiah Gill, both of them coming in now. 2 pedals, 1 clutch driver, Cameron Austin, continues to stay out. Let's see, how close is he to hitting his stint length? Austin still about 10 laps off his stint length. You see Joe Wright making his way onto pit road. Only 5 drivers need to make a green flag pit stop now. That's Cameron Austin, Logan Hagerman, Will Witt, Nick Mather, and Eddie Morris. I know Logan Hagerman and Eddie Morris stayed out for a long time last green flag pit stop. It's looking like they're going to try to do the same thing again. There we go. We see Cameron Austin is into the pits now. And there we go. We see Logan Hagerman able to get by Cameron Austin, and he has inherited the lead now. But remember, Logan Hagerman still has to make a green flag pit stop. Question is, how long is that 7 willing to stay out? We see Michael Provost also making his way onto pit road. So we're seeing all the 2 pedals, 1 clutch drivers come in. We got a battle for third going on between Eddie Morris and Nick Mather. Both drivers on old tires. Both drivers going to have to come in here pretty shortly. Eddie Moore's getting right up to the back bumper of that 16. He takes a look to the high side. Morris has tried to make that high side work all throughout tonight's event, but he has just been unsuccessful. And Cody Moore has just ran the fastest lap time of the race with a 24.70 running on those fresh tires. Cody Moore looking very, very fast right now. Devin Buccino has run his fastest lap time of the race, his personal best. Not the fastest, but his... Oh, no! We see a car is into the inside safer barrier. That's Isaiah Gill. That is going to bring out our first caution. And we're going to take a look here at the Marco's Pizza Wreckage Rewind. If you're thinking about getting some pizza, make sure to consider getting Marco's Pizza. Make sure to visit their website, marcospizza.com, and get you some awesome pizza. I actually had Marco's Pizza tonight, and I definitely recommend it, so make sure to go check them out. Again, marcospizza.com. All right, here's what happened. So Isaiah Gill, he was running pretty much by himself, and I believe this happens coming out of turn number 2, which I said earlier in the broadcast was going to be a trouble spot for a lot of drivers. So there you see he's running about mid-corner. And then there we see the car start showing signs of getting loose. It looked like he was going to be able to save it, and then it just... He can't save it any longer. Gets loose. Straight into the inside safer barrier. And that is going to destroy the front end of that machine. Luckily, he hit the safer barrier, because if he did, that car would have been even more damaged. So now we see the drivers. We see a bunch of drivers currently on pit road right now. That's Colin Willems, Logan Hagerman, Devin Buccino, Eddie Morris, Will Witt, Nick Mather. And we see Logan Hagerman going to win the race off of pit road. Then it's Will Witt. Then it's Nick Mather. Then it's Colin Willems. And then it's going to be Devin Buccino. And then it's going to be Eddie Morris. So we did see 2 drivers ended up staying out. And only 1 driver. And that was Brian Newty in that 40 machine. And that is a bit of a gamble because pretty much a lot of the other front runners came in. Brian Newty did not. So we'll see how this strategy plays out for Newty. We see the Reaper 504 on Twitch says Newty increased the gap a bit on pit road. And then he said, well, now the gap is much larger between Newty and Gill. Yeah, I mean, with Gill hitting that inside safer barrier, that is definitely going to increase the gap between Newty and Gill. And Isaiah Gill, he is now down 1 lap. So that's a huge gap between Newty and Gill. Hopefully Gill can make that 1 lap up, though. Like I said, luckily, though, Isaac Gill hit that inside safer barrier because the damage would have been way more if he didn't. So we are getting ready to go back green here. Brian Newty restarting on the bottom. Logan Hagerman restarting on the top. Then behind them, it's going to be Will Witt and Nick Mather. All right, let's see how this goes. We got 4 YXU Racing drivers in the top 5. Looks like their pit strategies have worked out pretty well. Brian Newty does have a little bit older tires compared to the rest of the field, so let's see if he'll be able to hold off Hagerman and Witt and Mather, who all have fresh tires. Pace car is in. And there we go. Green flag is back out here at the Rock. There we see Brian Newty taking off. We are side by side for second between Will Witt and Logan, and we see another caution flag is out. Looks like Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence has crashed. Isaiah Gill went off track. Derek Chaput crashed. We'll take a look at exactly what happened here with the Marco's Pizza Wreckage Rewind. Again, if you're thinking about having some pizza, definitely consider checking out Marco's Pizza. They, based on what location you're located, they have 3 options: takeout, curbside pickup at some locations, and delivery. So make sure to go visit your local Marco's Pizza. All right, here's a look at what happened. We see Michael Lawrence getting ready to restart here. There we see the pace car is in. And there we see Cody Moore takes off. And oh, we see 2 drivers at the same time spin their tires. A little bit of synchronized spinning there. We see Dave right into the outside wall, and we see Michael Lawrence spins as well. And then what ends up happening to Gill? Oh, we see some contact between Neon Racing teammates Dylan Redding and Derek Chaput. They both slide down the track into Isaiah Gill. And then once again, Gill finds himself face-to-face with the inside safer barrier. So we saw 2 separate incidents, some synchronized spinning, and then an incident between 2 teammates. That is unfortunate there. So I don't think we will see anybody make their way onto pit road here. I'd be surprised if we did. I always see a few people, most of them involved in that most recent incident. So here we go. We're going to have less than 25 laps to go when we restart. And it's going to be a shootout between 5 fast drivers, Brian Newty, and maybe it was right now your top 5 is Brian Newty, Will Witt. Hold on. So right now your top 5 is Brian Newty, Will Witt, Logan Hagerman, Colin Willems, and Nick Mather. We see 4 YXU Racing drivers in the top 5. The only driver who isn't a YXU Racing driver is Logan Hagerman. And also make sure to keep this in mind. Brian Newty is on 14-lap tires, while the rest of the top 5 is on pretty fresh tires. Not new tires, but probably about 5 or 6 lap old. So 14 lap tires compared to 5 or 6 lap old tires is a pretty big difference. We'll see if Newty will be able to hold off the rest of the field. Brian Newty's going to be restarting on the outside here. Below him it's Will Witt, and behind them it's Logan Hagerman and Colin Willems. And here we go. Green flag is back out here at the Rock. There we see Brian Newty taking off. We are side by side for second between YXU teammates Colin Willems and Will Witt, but we see Colin able to get clear now. Colin Willems setting his sights on your first place driver, Brian Newty. 25 laps to go here at the Rock. We see Colin Willems trying to use that high side a little bit to gain momentum on the 40. And he's reeling in Brian Newty fast. There we see Willems taking a look down low under the 40 machine as we head into turns 1 and 2. We see Colin Willems sticking behind that 40 machine, not letting him get away. I'm surprised that, and we see another caution flag is out. Third caution of the night. Looks like Michael White and Isaiah Gill have crashed. So we were watching Michael White. He is taking a look down low under Joe Wright, and then he's taking a look down low under Derek Chaput. And it looks like Michael White gets into the apron a little bit, and he slides way up the track, barely misses hitting Derek Chaput. And looks like there was a little bit of net code there. Let's watch. Let's look at the right front. Oh, that's not. I'm trying to find a good camera view. to see whether or not it was netcode. Yeah, I don't know. But look, it definitely looked like there was some netcode, and then Michael White finds himself straight into the inside safer barrier. And there we see the 09 of Michael White coming up the track here. And he slides up right in the path of Isaiah Gill. And Gill just has nowhere to go, and his bad luck continues. So that was unfortunate there for both drivers, but we are back under caution, and looks like we saw Brian Newty pit, and he has gotten fresh tires, so watch out for that 40 machine. So with Brian Newty coming in, here's a look at your current top 5. We see Colin Willems is in first, Will Witt is in second, third is Logan Hagerman, fourth is Devin Buccino, and then rounding out your top 5, we have Cameron Austin. Besides Martinsville, this has got to be a record amount of cautions here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series. Many of the laps in the series have been, many of the races here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series have been caution-free. We've only had a couple multiple caution races, and I'd say probably the most cautions was at Martinsville. But besides that, we haven't really had too many cautions in any of our races. But now, tonight, this is our third caution. We still have 20 laps to go, so this just shows how difficult the track is here at Rockingham. All right, here we go. We are getting ready to go back green here. We got Colin Willems restarting on the high side. Will Witt restarting on the bottom. Colin Willems will be the control car on this next restart. Pace car is in. Green flag is back out here at the Rock. There we see Colin Willems taking off. We see Will Witt falls in line in second. We are side by side for third between Logan Hagerman and Devin Buccino. And we see Hagerman is able to get clear and up to that third place spot. So now Logan Hagerman will be setting his sights on your second place driver, Will Witt. And oh, we see a car around. That's Devin Buccino. Big wreck. We see Brian Merle Jr. involved. Nick Mather involved. There's Josh Hall spinning. And that is going to bring out our fourth caution of the race. So here's a look at the Wreckage Rewind to see exactly what happened. And look at this. I'm getting ready to put the replay on the screen here. We were 3 wide heading into turns 1 and 2, I believe. And no, this was turns 3 and 4. Look at this. We were 3 wide at Rockingham. And looks like Cody Moore comes up a little bit off the bottom. We see, and that's going to boost Cameron Austin up into Devin Buccino, and this is just going to create this big domino effect. There we see Brian Merle Jr. is involved. We see Nick Mather has nowheres to go. And we see, here's Josh Hall spinning, trying to avoid hitting Devin Buccino. Saw a lot of big names get involved in that incident. Luckily, it looks like Cody Moore was able to get through the incident pretty well without having too much damage. He is in the 3rd place spot. And right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, as I say that there's Nick Mather coming in. 1, 2, 3, the top 3 is all YXU Racing drivers. That is absolutely incredible. That just shows how successful YXU Racing has been this season. I know. Isaiah Gill, Nick Mather, Colin Willems, Brian Nudie, and Cody Moore, all of them were in the chase. You always see a YXU Racing driver in the top 5 every single race. It's just they've got such a great team, and they've been doing so well here tonight at the Rock. I know YXU Racing, one of the biggest teams in the SCSRA Xfinity Series. I do want to shout out some of the other teams that we have. There's the Intensity Racing team. Got Joe Wright, Eddie Morris, Dave Wright, Logan Hagerman, Josh Hall. And then there's also the Neon Racing team, which is Brian Merle Jr., Dylan Redding, Devin Buccino, and Derek Chaput. And then there's 2 pedals, 1 clutch, Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence, and Cameron Austin, and Michael Provolt. And we are getting ready to go back green here. Colin Willems will once again be restarting on that outside. Will Witt will be restarting on the bottom. Behind them, it's Joe Wright and Brian Nudie. Look at this, Joe Wright into the top 5. We really haven't said his name too much, but here he is in the top 5 in the waning portions of tonight's event. Coming as we cross the line this time by, there's going to be 14 laps to go. Pace car is in. Green flag is back out here at the Rock. There we see Colin Willems taking off. He is able to get clear of Will Witt, but Will Witt not letting him get away. We see Witt gets a big run on Colin Willems as we head into turns 1 and 2, and still we see Witt staying on the back bumper of that 17. Will Witt trying to find any sort of way to maneuver around that 17 machine. And oh, there we see Joe Wright trying to take it to the high side above Brian Nudie. Those Intensity Racing Team drivers have been running on the outside all race long. I don't know, will we see Will Witt maybe work his way up there to the outside? We will see. Pretty much the whole field has just ran their fastest lap times of the race. Colin Willems, Will Witt, Brian Nudie, Joe Wright, Dave Wright all have just ran their fastest lap times of the race. There we see Will Witt trying to take it to the high side above Colin Willems. Here's Brian Nudie trying to take a look down low under that 35 machine. Nudie almost to the rear quarter panel of the 35 as we come off of turn number 4. He's trying to set something up here. 10 laps to go. Colin Willems has just ran his personal best lap time of tonight's event with a 24.94, and he's starting to extend that gap a little bit over Will Witt. So we now make our way and look at the battle for second between Will Witt and Brian Nudie. Man, Brian Newty is going to need to try something here. It is so hard to pass. He's going to either just need to wait for Will Witt to make a mistake or maybe try to use that chrome horn. We do see Newty able to maneuver his way under the 35 a little bit. Almost got to his rear quarter panel. But again, Will Witt is able to get back clear Brian Newty. So Will Witt now once again trying to reel in Colin Willems for this first place spot. I don't know if he'll be able to reel in that 17. Once again, here's Brian Newty getting a big run on the 35 as we come off of turn number 4. Brian Newty looking high, looking low. There we see he takes it to the bottom. Man, Brian Newty right there on the back bumper of Will Witt. He's got to try to find some speed here to get around that 35. Will Witt is going to keep running that defensive line, getting all the way to the yellow line to hold Newty off. So Newty's going to need to find a way to either move Will Witt up off that yellow line by using the bumper a little bit, or he might try to use that high side. We will see what Newty chooses to do here. 5 laps to go for Colin Willems to try to secure his second win of the season here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series. Brian Newty getting all the way down on that yellow line, trying to find any sort of speed to get under the 35. 4 laps to go now. We see Logan Hagerman starting to reel in Brian Newty for this 3rd place spot. So Newty now having under a little bit of pressure. He's not only trying to make a pass, but he's also trying to prevent someone from making a pass. So Newty's going to have to choose one or the other. Is he going to try to get by Will Witt and use all his energy to try to get by Will Witt, or is he going to use all his energy to hold off Logan Hagerman and settle for 3rd? See Brian Newty getting another big run on Will Witt as we head through turns 1 and 2. He's got Logan Hagerman right on his back bumper. Ooh, we see Newty almost into the back bumper of that 35. All right, we are coming to 1 lap to go. It's looking pretty good for Colin Willems to secure his second win of the season, so we will be watching this battle for second between Will Witt and Brian Newty and Logan Hagerman. We see Hagerman getting right up to the back bumper of that 40. He can't quite get there. Here we go through turns 3 and 4. Can Newty get by Will Witt for this 2nd place spot? Coming off of turn number 4. Will Witt is going to take the 2nd place spot. Brian Newty finishes 3rd. 1, 2, 3, YXU Racing. But Colin Willems will get the victory. This is his 2nd win of the season here in the SCSRA Xfinity Series. What a win for Colin Willems. And there we go, Colin Willems burning it down here at the Rock, celebrating his 2nd win of the season, and what a race for all of YXU Racing. Continuing to burn it down here at the Rock. And there we go. Colin Willems parking it into victory lane here at the Rock. It's now time for driver interviews. We're going to pull in your top 3. Starting off, we're going to pull in your 3rd place finisher, Brian Nudie. We got your 1st and 2nd in the waiting room. We're just waiting for Brian Nudie. There we go. We got Brian Nudie in the waiting room. Let's pull him in. Brian, this is Atlee in the Intensity Broadcasting booth. Do you have a copy?
I got you, buddy.
Awesome. Well, what a race for you tonight. You were our biggest mover of the race after starting in the 19th spot. Really didn't have the qualifying run that you wanted, but you were quickly able to work your way up through the field, and you had a good pit strategy. You were pitting with those YXU Racing drivers. I know y'all were pitting a little bit earlier than the rest of the field, and eventually we saw that caution come out, the first caution, and your YXU teammates ended up coming in, but you ended up staying out, and then you eventually ended up coming in, went to the back of the pack and had to work your way back up to the field. You eventually got up into the top 3, and you were battling with Will for that 2nd place spot. You couldn't quite get by him. I mean, what was your take on tonight's event?
Oh, tonight was kind of crazy. I had a rough day at work, so I had to rush home. I didn't have any practice, and I actually qualified 6th, not 19th. I didn't turn any practice laps though, so I used the whole qualifying session as my practice, and then was battling for 2nd place with my teammate Colin early on, and I made a dumb mistake. Tried to pass going into 1, hit a bump, and I washed up in him. Killed his car early on, and luckily he was able to recover and get the W tonight.
Now, I know you and your YXU Racing teammates were working together with pit strategy. I mean, can you kind of explain to us what was y'all's pit strategy?
Basically, we're just trying to split it up, and because we had 3 extra sets of tires, so we just split it into thirds, and then that way, if a caution did come out late, we'd have an extra set ready to go. And so we're trying to short pit. It definitely worked a ton that first stint because Devin was leading. He had about a 2nd lead on me, and then I was able to pit. And then I think when we came back out on the track, I had about a 10-second lead because he tried to stretch it. He realized stretching it wasn't going to work, so he ended up short pitting on the next one. And then just that last caution that first caution kind of really killed any chance that I had at kind of winning. At that point, I knew I was going to be off strategy, and just happy that my YXU teammates finished 1, 2, 3, and happy for Colin to be able to recover after I made a dumb move, and he was able to get the win.
Now, before we let you go, Nudie, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Oh, yeah, I got to give a shout-out to you up in the booth and Josh on Tuesday nights. You guys do an awesome job. I also got to give a shout-out to Dayton. He does an awesome job running the whole spiel. All my YXU teammates, Colin, Will, Nick Mather, Isaiah Gill, and Cody Moore. And then also got to give a shout out to my beautiful wife for letting me do this, especially just getting home. Literally came right into the garage, did this, didn't even really, just basically had time to say hello, I love you, and I gotta go race. And as always, got to thank Gill's Dump Truck Service and Pizzeria, the fastest dump trucks in the Northwest.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations on the podium finish here tonight, Nudie. Have a great rest of your night.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, let's now pull in your 2nd place finisher from Wisconsin, Dells, Wisconsin. It's the 35 of Will Witt. Will, this is Atlee of the Intensity Broadcasting booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, what a race for you tonight. I know you were running in the top 3 for a lot of tonight's event, running around with your YXU teammates. And I know y'all were running on the same strategy, trying to short pit and split the run into thirds. and eventually they were coming. When we saw that first caution come out, you and Colin and the rest of the field came in, got some fresh tires. I know Nudie stayed out, and eventually when Nudie came in, you and Colin were 1-2, and you couldn't quite get by Colin. I know Nudie was able to work his way back up to the field, and he was right on your back bumper there in the last stretch of the race, but you were able to hold him off and secure that runner-up spot. I mean, what was your take on tonight's event?
Oh, man, tonight was a bit of a roller coaster. Had a bad qualifying lap, had to start in the back, got caught up in an early incident, had to ride around that first stint pretty much with a wrecked car. So I came in, I was able to take a fast repair, get a new car, and just kind of I rode it out from there. I got lucky that I think it was like that first caution that kind of started bringing all the other ones. Came out at a good time for me, and I was able to get up to top 5, and I think I ended up coming out like second or third or something like that. Kind of just stayed there the rest of the night. Yeah, Brian came up through the field pretty quick after he took tires from the lead, and I told him, he kind of said, "Don't worry about passing me," but I told him I wasn't going to let him pass. As for Colin, I had nothing for him tonight. I mean, he just took off.
Now, I know a lot of drivers were struggling here at the Rock. I know many drivers were getting loose off of turn number 2. How were you able to handle the looseness here at the Rock?
I figured out what worked for me was just kind of trying to dime in the corner. I know you saw like that last stint, Colin was able to kind of hug the yellow line, even Brian, and I'd have to wash up a little bit just to kind of get that run off. Just car wouldn't turn in the center, but yeah, they'd be really loose off if I tried to hold it all the way down. So I would let it drift up a little bit and then kind of diamond it off, and it seemed to work better. Definitely a tough track. I love it. Tough tracks are usually my kind of strong suit, but yeah, I had a ton of fun tonight.
Now, before we let you go, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Oh, for sure. Everybody at YXU. Colin, hell of a win tonight, hell of a run. He'll probably give Nudie a little hard time for taking him out early in the race, so it was a good recovery for him. Brian for doing good, or having a good run and putting on the league and everything else. And Cody, Nick, Isaiah, he had a tough night as well. I got to thank Mick for doing paints. I know he'll be doing those for me next season. I got to thank my buddy Kyle, he's watching. My dad, he's watching. I know Mick's watching. You up in the booth. Everybody in the league. I just have a blast with this league. It's so much fun. Our Discord chats or conversations usually get pretty good. So, all in all, I want to thank everybody. It's been a fun season.
Well, again, congratulations on the runner-up finish here tonight. Will, have a great rest of your night.
10-4, thanks you too.
Yep, thank you. All right, and now let's pull in your winner from London, Ontario, Canada. It's the 17 of Colin Willems. Colin, this is Atlee in the Intensity Broadcasting booth. Do you have a copy?
I got you, Atlee. How are you?
Doing pretty good up here in the booth, and looks like you were doing pretty good out there on track. I know you had quite the roller coaster race. I know early on you made a little bit of contact with your teammate Brian Nudie, and that ended up hitting the wall and you lost a couple spots. But eventually, after you short pit the first 2 pit stops, you pit way earlier compared to everybody else, and that ended up coming into your favors. When we saw that first caution flag come out, you were second to Nudie, who was on older tires, and eventually when he came in, you ended up taking the lead, and eventually you were able to lead the rest of the race, able to hold off Will, and end up securing your second win of the season. I mean, what was your take on tonight's event?
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster. I wish I had better teammates racing around me early on in the race, but it is what it is. I had to short pit because with the damage that I had, I mean, I was losing half a second a lap. So the longer I stayed out on track, the more time I was going to lose. So I just made the decision to come in and get the damage fixed, get some tires, and then, just hope for something else towards the end of the race to maybe help me get back on top. Luckily it did. I mean, with the extra set that we got tonight really helped. I had nothing left in the pits at the end of the race, and most of the other drivers, I'm assuming, did. So overall, really lucky. But yeah, I'll take it.
Now, this is your second win of the season, and next week is the season finale. How is it going to look for you in points?
Well, with being a bonehead and falling asleep last or 2 weeks ago there and missing New Hampshire really put me out of the running at my favorite track. So, I'm happy to get a win here late in the season, but I don't think it's going to make a difference for me heading into the final race.
Got you. I was just wondering if you might be able to maybe secure a top 5, but I got you.
Well, I'll go as high as I can, Atlee. As long as that 40 car stays away from me, I should be okay.
Got you. Well, before we let you go, is there any sponsors or shout-outs?
Yeah, I would like to thank my beautiful wife, obviously, number one, for being my biggest fan. She is second to none. Almost all my teammates at YXE Racing, Cody Moore, Nick Mather, Will Witt, Isaiah Gill, and that other guy. I want to thank you for a great job every week up in the booth. I love watching these back the next day. I would thank the league owner, but we're not on speaking terms right now, so I'm going to leave that alone. All the admins, everyone who does the graphics, everybody for making this fun. How many cars did we have in the field tonight?
We had 20.
20? All right. Well, I want to thank 19 of them for racing me clean. And that's it.
Well, again, congratulations on the win tonight. Have a great rest of your night, Colin.
You too, Allie. Take care, buddy.
Yep, you too. Well, that is going to do it for tonight's event. Again, congratulations to Colin Willems for getting tonight's victory here in that 17 machine. I want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the broadcast here tonight. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, as it would be greatly appreciated. Make sure to visit our Twitter, Intensity Broad 1. We are always dropping polls and interacting with our viewers on there. We actually just dropped a poll today, so make sure to check that out. And visit our merchandise store, IntensityBroadcasting.com. There you can find shirts, hats, stickers, mugs, mouse pads, and so much more. Make sure to visit the League Collection, the SCSRA League Collection, and get an SCSRA t-shirt, an SCSRA sticker, or some SCSRA or an SCSRA poster. And there's some other items that you might like as well. Again, IntensityBroadcasting.com is our merchandise store. Got a bunch of different hat designs, shirt designs, all that good stuff. I'm Atlee Atman-Weisman on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Over and out.